Hello everyone and welcome back to my multi-make series, and we're now on to our multi-make 3. So hopefully by now you're starting to build up quite a collection of just simple everyday cards or your stash for Christmas time. So the idea of the multi-makes, as I've said before, it's part of my Papercrafting with Paul group on Facebook. So if you're not already a member, head there and join up, and you'll be able to go to the file section and get this PDF. And the multi-make is a way of taking your papers and making multiple cards without having to use too many of your pattern papers. And I've been using my Knitwits papers to show you how you can get the most out of them. So with the multi-make series, I've been printing 2 different papers on one page just by going to the photo printing option, right-clicking, print, and then choosing the 2 and having them side by side. So I'm printing one page but getting 2 different papers. So you can see this time I'll be using some snowflake ones because I always make a general one to show you. I've used the What's the Buzz ones here. I've got 2 little boys now, so always needing some extra boy cards at the last minute. So I've gone for the bug one. So I've just built up using one of the circle frames and put one of the bugs and just put some foam pads in just to add some interest. I love the sentiment, even with that staple. It's all just one image, so just cut out and then ink the edges. But it just looks really effective, that cuddle bug. And then on this one, you can see how I've multi-made, taken the 2 sides pieces here from there and swapped them over and keeping that central one and just having a different topper. So the same layout but 2 very different cards. So let's get going with the multi-make 3. So as I said, this PDF is available in my Facebook group. So if you print it out, you can just follow along or just watch this video. So step 1 is make your 5x7 card blanks. So all my multi-makes so far have been 5x7. So once you buy your batch of 5x7 envelopes, all these cards will fit. So let's get my trimmer. So we're going to be cutting it at 7x10. So there's my 7 inches by 10. And we're multi-making, so we need another one. 7 by 10. So there's my 2 card blanks. Then I just need my scoreboard and scoring tool. And I'm going to score them at 5 inches. First one and the second. And then we're just going to take our cards and fold them in half. And just score them down nice and sharp. So I've got my 2 card blanks. So as I said in the past, the multi-makes, I've made a general one as my samples, but in every multi-make I'll be making some Christmas themed ones. So I'm building up my stash ready for Christmas. And the one I've gone for this time is All is Calm, and it's full of these greens and creams and some very traditional images. Let's turn this one around. And then the sentiments, again, quite traditional. So I've gone and found 2 papers which I think will coordinate nicely. I've printed off some 2 images. Now this time I'm just doing some nice flat images and then my sentiments there. So we'll start now with the backing papers. So let's put our card blanks to the side. Got my instructions and my diagram here. And it says, choose 2 pieces of patterned paper and cut each at 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm just going to trim off the white edge there, and I'll trim it off here as well. So my card was 7 inches tall, so 6 3/4 is just coming back 1/4 inch. Yeah. By 4 3/4. So it says 7 by 5, so just coming back 1/4 inch. And the same with the other one. So we've got our 2 pieces now. We now need to cut a vertical strip down the left hand side of each pattern paper at 1 inch. So my left hand side, I could just turn it around. But here I've chosen a non-directional paper, so it doesn't actually matter which way I do it, and the pattern isn't very obvious. But if you've got text or something, you'll want to just keep track of which bit you're doing. And then it says cut 1 inch off the right hand piece. Now I said it doesn't really matter with this paper, so I haven't really kept track. So I could have just cut 1 inch and then another inch. But if you have got imagery one, obviously you want to keep a bit more of a track than I have. So here we have our 1 inch pieces and our wider centre. So what I'm going to do now, before I start assembling and swapping, I'm just going to take some pumice stone distressing, and I'm going to distress my edges. Now the pumice stone is a nice browny grey colour, which I thought tied in nicely with these muted greens. I didn't want black this time in a black cardstock, and I didn't want brown either, so pumice stone was a nice middle ground. So this is an optional step, but I think it does help to hide any white co-edges, but also any uneven cutting. Because once you put them back to both together, you're creating that line, and you can overlap a little bit because you have this dark colour just edging your patterns. So this will probably be the longest part of our video. So I'd love to hear what you're doing with your multi-makes, and I'm really enjoying seeing the ones you're creating, and people are sharing them in the Facebook group. There's an album there. So if you're looking for extra ideas with this sketch, go ahead, join that Facebook group, and you'll find what other crafters are doing. I gotta say, some of them are really going above and beyond, and they look amazing. So we're coming around. And the last piece. Here we go. So we've inked all our pattern papers. Now it says to swap the central vertical strips. Here we go. So you can see now how the multi-make comes into its own we're taking that one sheet of printed paper, but we're getting 2 cards out of it. And it says swap the central pieces of each pattern with the opposing pattern and glue the new formation onto the card blank. But before I put it onto the card blank, I'm just going to try and tie it in. So I'm going to ink the edge of my card blank as well. So this is going to tie our pattern paper and our card blank together, so it all becomes quite cohesive. And you see a difference now, if I move that out of the way. Once I put these on, you'll see how this card all blends together. You've got that same colourway going. Whereas if I haven't inked it, we've got these muted edges on here with a very harsh edge. Where's the other one? Let's find it. I'm hoping the camera can pick up how much of a difference it actually does make. It's a bit hard to keep everything flat at the moment because it's not glued down. But can you see how here, let's zoom right in, the harshness on the right with the muted on the left. So it really does make a difference. Let me just find my tool. Let's just do this one nice and quick. There we go. So now let's glue them on. Just check my glue is running. If not, let's try and get my piercing tool. I did unclog it before starting, but I think this warmer weather we're having at the moment is drying it out. And I find it's easier to open your card blank out. Really having difficulty with my glue tonight. Let's have a look. He really doesn't want to play ball today. Finally it's unclogged. Here we are. Right, so as I said, I find it easier if I open it up. Let's place this one here. This one in the middle. Just for spacing. And then this one. So I've got a little edge on the left. Let's glue down our central panel. A bit too much glue here. It's now running too much. Yeah, but as long as I press it down nice and flat. And the final one. So this is where I was saying, if you need to jiggle it a little bit, that inking will help you be able to overlap and things a little bit, but it still looks like that's how it's meant to be. Now it looks like it's all wrinkled, but it's not. I think it's just the design. Go. There's one card blank, And the second one, open it up. That one down the edge. That one in the middle. And this one now. Trying to get a nice even edge there. And that thin strip there. So that is the basis of our multi-make sketch. So now it's over to you then to add whichever topper you want and the extra embellishments. As normal, I'm gonna just keep it nice and simple, because at Christmas time, that's what we want. We want nice, quick ideas. I think this paper's playing my eyes. I'm keep seeing bumps where there aren't any. Right, so I'm just gonna use 2 of the nice round toppers from the kit. Again, I'm gonna tie it in by using my distress ink. Now, just because I've done a round topper here, just because I had the round toppers in my video here, doesn't mean you have to do a round one. You saw in my original bug ones that one had that magnifying glass. Whatever you've got to hand will work. And again, because these were Christmas ones, you could glue them flat. If you're worried about postage and things, the great thing about this is you can make them exactly as you want them. But I'm gonna do one flat and one with some 3D foam. So here's my candle one. Now I'm thinking if I put it here, I'm gonna lose quite a bit with my sentiment. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna put this one on the right hand side. So I'm just flipping my sketch that way. And then this one, let's use some foam tape for this one. Oh. And maybe I should put my lid on before I get ink all over my cards. Wouldn't be the first time. So this time let's stick to the sketch and have it here. I think I'm gonna have to bring this nice and close for you to see this cottage design and all the trees. There's so much detail, which is why I went for quite a subtle background. And now we've got our sentiments. Again, I want to tie this in, so back to my pumice stone. And a bit there as well. So this was kept quite flat, so I could just stick that down. I think I'll need just a little bit more pumice stone on the top just to get it standing out. There we are. Because it does look like there's an extra matten layer there. I think what I'll do, I will raise it up with some foam pads. Just try and get it straight. There we go. And then this, I'm going to have to be careful with my foam tape. because I think I'm going to bring it up a double. So I'm going to put one straight across. But if I stick that on now, this is just floating in the air. So I'm going to put another one on the right hand side. So when I turn over, it's on the left. Just a little thin piece. So it's over on this side, wasn't it? The opposite side to where I want it. So when I flip it over, this single one will be on here because I've already lifted it one, and the right hand side will have the double. Oh, I think I need to move it just a little bit down, otherwise I was covering the cottage roof. And there we go. That is the basis of this month's multi-make. It's up to you now to take it further. In the past videos, I've shown you I've done like extra foliage. So this does come with some foliage I could have cut out and tucked some foliage behind. Add a couple of extra jewels or gems. Some little, what do we call them? The pearl dots. You can get the squeezy gluey type ones. Whatever you want now. If you want to add a little bit of glitter to the snowflakes, go for it. The only thing I'd like you to do is, as I said, head over to Papercrafting with Paul on Facebook, and in there you'll find an album, and I'd like you to add your versions to it. So if you're enjoying these multi-makes, please hit that subscribe button and click that thumbs up button on YouTube. It really does help the channel to grow further and become a bit more visible. And I'd also love to see your comments as well. Maybe which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the Christmas one this time, or that nice bold bugs one? If you had to choose one of the kits, which one would you work with, I wonder? So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all again soon.